Right then, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do the player ratings, and some of you are going to get upset, but I'm fucking sick of you, to be honest, so we're not asked. Right, let's start at the back, like we always do. Andre Onana. He's getting a 6 out of 10, because he had fuck all to do, but he didn't really do anything wrong. Distribution, again, maybe not great. Long balls, a little bit inconsistent, but that's the sort of nature of long balls. Didn't exactly command his area again, but didn't really do anything wrong. Got a clean sheet. 6 out of 10. Basic. 6 out of 10. Dalot. Very quiet game for him. We've, of late, been quite keen to play through Dalot. And he's ended up being one of our highest sort of possession takers on the field. He had 7 clearances, 3 blocked shots and 1 interception. So defensively he was doing okay. And he was probably involved more defensively than he was offensively. Only 17 out of 22 passes complete, which is it's like at least half as many as you normally would expect to see from Dalot. 0 successful crosses. He only attempted 1. Contributions in the final third were almost nil. And I wonder if that affected United's ability to create from the wide areas, because we didn't really create. Villa didn't create, and we didn't really create. It was poor. Again, didn't really do anything wrong. Didn't really do anything right. 6 out of 10. Jonny Evans. I don't give 10s, so he's getting a 9. Jonny Evans was the standout performer of the match. He was the literal man of the match, but he led the defence with authority. 8 clearances, 11 out of 12 duels. Can I just ask, how? 86% pass accuracy. The experience shone through as he helped organise the defence and help keep Villa attack at bay. And when you're looking at such a quick and powerful sort of Villa attack, the fact that geriatric Johnny was able to not just keep up with them, but to dominate them. 4 accurate long balls as well, which helped alleviate pressure in moments that it required. It's an unfathomable performance from Jonny Evans. And do you know what? This is the norm. Like, from the clean sheet we got at Anfield last season to like just some of the more just stable performances Manchester United have had, Jonny Evans is Mr. Dependable. It's an absolute joke how good he's been since we got him in on a free transfer. When I think back to, we were standing in the hotel shop. It's like a deli cafe sort of shop in Estancia in La Jolla. We just saw Jonny Evans in there. Me and Adam went and chatted to him. And he was only on pre-season tour last year because Reece Bennett got injured. That's it. That's the only reason. And he said he spoke to United and asked if he could come back and get some fitness with the club. And the club said yes. And he looked good. He looked that good that they said, why don't you just come on a tour with us? And he came on the tour without a contract. He wasn't getting paid to go on a tour. Like, he had no contract. He was just there having a laugh and hanging out with the lads, right? And we chatted to him, and one of the things I said to him was, where do you think you're going to play next year? And he was like, I don't know, let's see what offers come in. How mad is that? And then he went and dropped an absolute shitter of a performance against Wrexham, where he got absolutely turned inside out by fucking Wrexham. And like 2 days later got offered a contract by United. And has been so fucking reliable and so worth that contract ever since. It's an inspired signing, and it makes no sense how good he's been. But he was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, unapologetically, all about the Jonny Evans fan club. Harry Maguire. I'm giving Harry a 6. Because he was steady in the first half before going off at half-time with the injury. 2 clearances, won 2 out of 3 aerial duels. Didn't really have a lot of opportunity to impact the game, but he was solid. And obviously, his injury limits his influence on the game. Mazraoui, again, I don't know what happened here with Mazraoui. Obviously, he came off. Offensive impact, pretty noticeable. Same with Dalot, actually. It was a decent shift out on the right-hand side. 6 clearances, 3 tackles. He was a bit busier defensively than he has been. and maybe that was what limited the attacking output. His defensive work was key. I don't know what the situation was with him getting hooked at half-time, but it's a little bit more than a 6 with him, I think 6.5. And again, just another sign in that I can't believe how cheap we've got him and how good he has been. He's really helped, and I think the way he inverts has helped stop a lot of that like carnage transitional football that we saw last season. He's been really good, really, really good. Like, he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet for me at the moment. Mazraoui, absolutely. And I'd really love to know. I mean, I know he said rotation, but like, is that just a word that he's learned and he's just throwing it around now because it's madness? Mainu. I'm going to say 6.5 again for Mainu, actually, because there was flashes of potential. Again, we saw that dribbling ability, which is very, very good and very useful for a central midfielder. 2 out of 3 successful dribbles. Could argue we want him to do a little bit more. He's so confident on the ball. 86% pass completion. 5 out of 9 duels. He was creating stuff in midfield. Not loads, but he was creating stuff. Position and awareness still need a touch of improvement, I think. Didn't impose himself physically. Arguably against what's a very physical midfield, to be honest with you, but he didn't really impose himself physically, and I think that's something that we got to look into, or he's got to improve. Don't necessarily need to look into it. He's so young; it'll come with the age. But 6.5 out of 10, I think. Christian Erikson, I'm going to say 7. 91% pass completion, kept us ticking. 2 key passes, which I think was the most in the game. More chances created than anybody else on the pitch. And his ability to maintain possession has probably been massive to how we've improved in that sense. Okay, there's other areas that we've dropped off in, but we've improved in terms of our possession. The technical ability is absolutely clear, and he links us up nice. I wonder if he was given the opportunity to play in the 10 with 2 more combative midfields alongside him, where we would be and how he would look. Physically, he was a little bit off the pace. This Villa team's a very, very... It might be the most physical team in the league. So he was always going to struggle in that. And that's why, I thought I wanted to see like Casemiro, Ugarte sort of midfield alongside an Erikson in this game, because I thought that would have been quite useful for him. But yeah, I think a 7's fair. He was the one that was trying to create for us, and he kept us ticking. Probably worth the recognition, I think. Bruno Fernandes. Now, on one hand, 90% pass completion, which is not Bruno's usual game. So I think it's worth recognising when someone has a very positive uptick in their possession stats. It's worth recognising. So on one hand, he gets a little bit of a lift of that. And he only lost possession 9 times, which... is very un-Bruno-like, especially when you go back to the 34 times he lost it the other week. He also didn't create any chances, though. His pressing was disjointed and a little bit Rambo-ish, if that makes sense. He did not give us any sort of spark. And I think his selection is almost at a detriment to United at the moment. He feels like he's playing a different beat to the team. I wouldn't say he's playing against us. I think that's really unfair, but I think he's playing a different beat to us. And it's kind of like there's a lot of the team are on a similar wavelength, and then Bruno's just on his own kind of like... Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I think he's a 4. 4.5 because of the improvement in possession, but your job is to create chances, and you're not creating chances. And the disjointedness of when you just steam in and press sometimes isn't really helping. Rashford, 6. Now, I thought Rashford had a frustrating game. He took 2 shots, one at the woodwork, but he failed to really trouble Villa's defence. He did look the most likely. He wasn't getting on the ball a lot. And he got substituted early in the second half, or earlier than you would expect, because he's already picked up a yellow card, and realistically, another ref might have sent him off. for the obvious yellow card that he just got a talking to. I think he's getting there with his form. He's playing with a little bit more confidence. He just struggled a little bit against Villa, I think. Maybe with how restricted Dalot wasn't getting a lot of help from Dalot coming forward. I think a 6 is fair. There was nothing bad in the performance, and there was some positives, but it could have been a lot better, I think. Garnacho. So people think I don't like Garnacho, and that's not the case. I want players to do well at Manchester United, particularly academy players, because that's the DNA of this football team. But I think he's been elevated and hyped up to a level that he isn't at yet. It's not to say he won't get there. The amount of comments that I see saying Rashford has to go and Garnacho has to play, I simply cannot agree with that statement. And for the start of the season, when I was picking Rashford over Garnacho, there was a few reasons why. Decision-making, final third output. Rashford has got those things in a higher level than Garnacho has got, right? And you are entitled to your opinion whether you think Garnacho can come good, and if you play him, he's got a higher potential. That's a valid opinion to hold. But I don't think he's playing at a high level. I don't think he's even playing close to the level that Marcus is playing at the moment, which is not a high level for him to get. He's getting through games a little bit, and he's getting a lot of credit. This happened with Tevez and Berbatov, if I remember right. One's got a more languid style of play, and one charges about the place looking like he gives a fuck. And I think Garnacho's getting a lot of credit for looking like he gives a fuck at the moment. But he's not doing much of his dribbling. He really doesn't seem to be able to beat a man. His final third product is basically zero. He doesn't create chances for other people. And his decision making at times is woeful. I don't see how he starts over. I can make the case he starts over Anthony, although Anthony didn't stink the place out against Villa. I can make the case he starts over Anthony, for sure. But I can't make the case that he starts over Ahmad or Rashford at the moment. I think he's so much better coming on as a tempo change late in the day, 30 minutes to go. Give Marcus an hour, give Garnacho 30, and I think you'd get quality out of both of them. Because I think that sort of crackhead energy that Garnacho absolutely brings is more evident and effective when he's fresh and he's coming on against tired defenders. I think he finds more space in those times. But it's a 4 out of 10. As it is for Hojlund. So he struggled to make any sort of impact in a game. A total of 5 passes is wild. 0 shots. There wasn't a hell of a lot of his pressing. His link-up play, there was none. His movement off the ball was decent. People weren't finding him. That's valid. But he's got to be able to impact games more. He just has to impact games more. His hold-up play needs improvement. He was getting dealt with and out-muscled off the ball by defenders, and he's not a small lad. I think it was a tough evening for him. United obviously wanted more out of the forward line, which is why he got subbed off. Is he not fit? Do we not think Xerxes can stretch the defence suitably? Is that why he didn't play? Either way, I don't know the answers to that, but it was poor from Hojlund, and he's going to have to be a hell of a lot better. You get some credit for, everybody else in the team has to create chances for you. But you have a hand in this as well. And I don't think he had anywhere near enough of a hand in it. Right, to the subs. So Lindelof coming on for Mazraoui. I thought he was pretty solid, certainly defensively. Kind of carried a little bit off where Mazraoui went off. United were clearly trying to play off the back foot a little bit. 4 out of 6 duels, 7 clearances, 12 out of 12 of his passes. So he maintained possession quite well. A little bit like the rest of the defence. Was solid.
but didn't really contribute to United being successful going forward. So 6 out of 10, can't be too harsh on him. De Ligt obviously came on for Maguire at half-time. Solid in the air, won 5 out of 9 of those duels, 8 clearances. Positioning was strong, helped keep Villa at bay when they had a bit of a resurgence towards the latter part of the game. Again, didn't contribute too much offensively, but defence was solid and probably helped maintain that clean sheet. Had a little bit more to do than Maguire, I think, because of how Villa came onto us towards the back end of the game. So 6.5. Anthony. So Anthony tried to inject a little bit of energy when he came on. He managed a shot, and he worked hard off the ball. He completed 3 out of 3 dribbles, won 1 duel. Overall, his impact was limited, but it was pretty bright. And again, like, didn't really do anything wrong, didn't manage to create it. But I'm going to say 6 out of 10. I think it was pretty solid. End product, as it kind of always does with Anthony, needs a little bit of work. Xerxes, there was no impact. 25 minutes, he had 7 touches of the ball, no shots, completely anonymous performance. Really struggled to involve himself in the game. And there was a lot of people saying some very unkind things in my group chats about him after the game. But yet didn't provide anything off the bench. So 5 out of 10 for Xerxes in that 25 minutes. Casemiro, 6. I can't really give him more than that. I mean, he did create a chance when he came on, but probably brought on to shore it up a little bit, and wasn't on long enough to really make an impact. As for Ten Hag, I think a lot of the decisions that he made, he was forced into, but the starting 11, okay, did it pay off? He seems pretty happy with the result. The starting 11 was a bit of a mad one, and he's obviously becoming under increasing scrutiny, and I think some of the decisions require scrutiny. The choice to start with Evans and Maguire at centre-half was risky, possibly paid off because you kept a clean sheet. There was a hell of a lack of creativity, though. Okay, you're bringing on Anthony and Xerxes. They did nothing, essentially. And maybe it's the decisions he didn't make than the ones he did make that are the issue here. Why no Ahmad? Why no a guy? We don't have unlimited options at United, but there were options that he chose not to use. So I'm going to give him a 5.5 out of 10. Because I thought the game was there to win, and it didn't look like United actually wanted to win it. It very much looked like we didn't want to lose it. But anyway, that's my play ratings. As always, please give me your thoughts on the ratings and also your comments and your own ratings if you want as well in the comments below. And I will see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.